Good morning, students, and welcome to our second part of the lecture of magnetic materials. So, last lecture we have seen that how the origin of magnetism is there due to the moving electron, and also we have seen the equation. We have got the magnetic moment of an revolving electron, and that the ratio which we have seen is about the gyromagnetic ratio, in which we have the relation between the magnetic moment, orbital moment, and that of the angular momentum. So orbital momentum and angular momentum, and that ratio which we got is nothing but E upon 2 me. So that was the ratio which we got. We have studied about it. We have seen the derivation, and then we have also got the we have also got the relation, that is the when we have got that the magneton Bohr magneton, which is for the first for the first orbit, that when n is equal to 1, the relation m orbital, which is equal to EH upon 4 pi me. So that was the relation which we got, EH upon 4 pi me, and that comes about, the value is about 9.274 into 10 raised to minus 24 ampere per meter square. So this was the relation which we obtained, and we have also got the gyromagnetic ratio, that is E upon 2 me. So we have derived that equation, and we have seen how we have got it, and that value of the gyromagnetic ratio, that is m orbital upon L, which is equal to 8.8 into 10 raised to 10 coulomb per kg inverse. So this was the relation which we got, 8.8 into 10 raised to 10 coulomb kg inverse. Now this was regarding the gyromagnetic ratio. Now we are going to see the next topic which I'm going to take is magnetization and magnetic intensity. Now, what is magnetization? We have seen that there are different materials, and all cannot become magnet. There are only few substances which can have temporary magnetism, or we can say there is magnetization. So that magnetization, what is that magnetization? We are going to see this. I'll just present you some slides. So magnetic materials. So magnetization, we have seen that atoms with unpaired electrons have a net magnetic moment. Now, unpaired electrons, like even in chemistry, we have seen that when the electrons are unpaired, there is a single electron in the outermost orbit only will exhibit the properties, or you can say will contribute to the magnetic moment. Okay, otherwise the magnetic moment is zero when all the uh, electrons in the atom in the last orbit are paired, or you can say are even numbered, you can say. But if they are odd, means they are unpaired, one electron is unpaired. In that case, we have net magnetic moment. Otherwise, it is zero. Then the bulk material is made up of a large number of such atoms having an inherent magnetic moment. So if we go to the atomic level, what happens is in the atomic level, each atom is having some net magnetic moment, and the bulk, if we take the bulk, in that we have it has some magnetic moment. The magnetic dipole moments are randomly oriented, and hence the net dipole moment of many of the bulk material is zero. So this you can see in many cases, like different types of materials. Now we are not going to study those, but for example, we have diamagnetic substances, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic substances, and in all we see that the magnetic dipole moment for the bulk is always zero. It comes zero. The reasons are different for each types of materials or substances, because for diamagnetic it is like in the last orbit, they have paired electrons, and because of this they don't contribute for the net magnetic moment, and the net magnetic moment as a whole for each atom it is zero, so it is naturally zero. Then for if we consider the paramagnetic substances, in that case they are randomly oriented. Randomly means the magnetic moments are in any direction, but then they cancel each other if no external magnetic field is applied. And then for that bulk material, it is zero, the magnetic material. And same for the ferromagnetic substances. In ferromagnetic substances, what happens is there are in if you take it in atomic level, if you go to the building block like atomic level, in that case what happens is there are domains, and in the domains, in each domain the magnetic moment has different direction, and when no magnetic field is applied, then the resultant is zero. So that is the thing. So magnetic dipole moments are randomly oriented, and hence the net dipole moment of many of the bulk material is zero. But for some materials like Fe3O4, the vector addition of all these magnetic dipole moments may not be zero. For some materials, it may not be zero. Such materials have a net magnetic moment. They have net magnetic moment. Now, we are going to see regarding this is magnetization. So, magnetization is nothing but it is the ratio of net magnetic moment to that of volume. So, we'll see that here. The ratio of net magnetic moment to the volume of the material is called magnetization. So, that is represented mathematically m net upon volume. M is vector quantity having dimensions L inverse, the dimensions are written in square bracket, L inverse A, and SI unit is AM inverse, that is ampere meter inverse. So this is the SI unit of magnetization. See here children, you can see when there is no field applied, here you can see these are the building blocks, or you can say the atoms of a material. So you can see that magnetic moment of each atom is just randomly oriented. Or random means it is in any direction. There is no particular direction for it. So you can see that it is in all other direction. But what happens because of this, the one is going this side, the other one which is going the opposite way, it cancels each other. So because of that random orientation, the net dipole moment is zero. I explained you earlier, so you can see that. But uh, i- but if the electric field is applied to it, see here, if an electric field is applied to it, external electric field, magnetic field, very sorry, magnetic field is applied to it, what happens is uh, the magnetization of the material increases. So you can see that they are all aligned in one particular direction. So this is nothing but magnetization. and it depends upon two things. Once the magnetic field is applied and the other also temperature. So these are the two things on which the magnetization it depends. That we'll see it later on that it depends upon the temperature also, because when temperature increases, now see here, if magnetic field is applied, they're getting aligned, and then it becomes a temporary magnet also, you can see. And if the field is removed, it comes back to its original position in this manner. So this is the magnetization. So children, you may note down this, or you can take a screenshot of this. This is a very important topic. It is asked for 2 marks. What is magnetization? You should know how to explain it. Now we'll see about the magnetic intensity. So we have derived this equation earlier. Last lecture we have seen for the magnetic field due to electric current that we have obtained this relation V0 is equal to mu 0 Ni for the solenoid. Now this is a solenoid. See here, consider a rod of such a material with some net magnetization placed in a solenoid with n turns per unit length and carrying current I. Magnetic field inside a solenoid is given by. So see here, this is the equation for the solenoid which we have derived last lectures. That is the last chapter. B0 is equal to mu 0 Ni. This is the magnetic field. Now this B0, why B0? Because there is nothing in the solenoid. It is an empty one, you can say rather. This is solenoid. You can see this wire. It is in such a way that it is made in the cylindrical form, like our spring in the ball pen. That is the way, that is the solenoid, and there is nothing inside. And there is nothing inside the solenoid. So that time it is told as it is taken as B0. So B0 is equal to mu 0. This is the permeability of the free space, n is the number of turns, I is the current. This circuit diagram is drawn in such a way that you can understand. This is the battery, the current is flowing. So this is B0. So let us denote the magnetic field due to metal kept inside the solenoid by Dm. Now this is B0 is when there is no material kept inside the solenoid. But if there is some material like iron or some rod placed in this solenoid, then we have the magnetic field given by Dm. Now the net magnetic field inside the rod can be expressed as. So see here, you can see that the total, that is when there is nothing in the solenoid, and when there is a iron or some material in the solenoid. So when there is nothing and when there is some iron rod or something in the solenoid, then this is the total of it. So B is equal to, that is the net magnetic field. It has been observed that Bm is proportional to magnetization M of the material. So Bm is equal to, so this equation is well known. Bm is equal to mu 0 M. Now mu 0 is the permeability of free space. Now B is equal to, so in this first equation, that is 11.3, we will just substitute the value B0. We saw it initially, it is mu 0 Ni plus for Bm we'll write mu 0 M. So here we can see that mu 0 is there, it will be taken as common. And next thing is this Ni. Here we will introduce one more quantity called magnetic field intensity. So that is very important part for our lecture today, that is magnetic field intensity H. So where H is equal to Ni. So this Ni is replaced by H, that is magnetic field intensity. The noticeable difference between the expression for B and H is that H does not depend on the material rod which is placed inside the solenoid. So here you can see that this Bm, it depends upon some material which is placed in the solenoid, whereas for B0 it does not depend upon any material. It is like you can say it doesn't depend upon what is there inside the solenoid. So here, so the equation, it comes about like this. So for Ni, we'll just substitute H. For Ni, we'll substitute H. So B is equal to mu 0 H plus n, H plus m. So that comes H equal to, so what we'll do is we'll just rearrange the terms. So to take this b upon mu 0 and then h take it on the left hand side and this minus n. So this is the equation. From above equation h and m have the same unit. So it is quite obvious that h and m will have the same unit, that is ampere per meter, and also have same dimensions. Also they'll have the same dimensions. So remember this very important equation. Then we'll go to the susceptibility. Yes. So m is equal to, so the relation between m and h. So you can see that m is equal to, so we can say that this is the proportionality constant psi. Xi, m is equal to xi h. Now what is this xi? This is called the magnetic susceptibility. This is a very important notation, xi. It denotes the magnetic susceptibility. So it is the measure of magnetic behavior of a material in external applied magnetic field. So it is the measure of the magnetic behavior of the material in external applied magnetic field. It's very important because on psi we can differentiate the different types of materials, like whether the material is the diamagnetic, paramagnetic or ferromagnetic. Then it is the ratio of two quantities with the same units, isn't it? It is having same units, so same units, that is AM inverse. So it will not have, it is a dimensionless constant. It will not have any dimension because this ratio is of the ratio is like M and H has the same units. So xi is the dimensionless constant. Okay, then from the above equation, we'll just substitute for m, that is xi h. So b is equal to mu 0 h plus xi h. And then what we'll do is, now h is common, we'll just take it out. So we'll get mu 0 1 plus xi h. Now what is 1 plus xi? It is nothing but mu r. Mu r is nothing but, it is the relative permeability. And then mu r is equal to 1 plus xi. That is, then what we'll do is mu r is this. So we'll just write this equation in such a way that mu 0 into mu r is nothing but mu. So b is equal to mu h. So mu is equal to mu 0 into mu r. So this is the permeability in free space and this is the relative permeability. So this is the multiplication, that is mu. So ultimately we have this equation, mu is equal to mu 0. Now what is mu r? Mu r is nothing but 1 plus psi. This is the equation. It's a very important equation. Now we have seen, I have told you earlier also that electric field and magnetic field are analogous to each other. So whatever the permeability and permittivity. So whatever is the permittivity in electric field is same as permeability of free space in the magnetic field. Remember that. This is epsilon and this we take as mu. Remember children. So see here, magnetic permeability is a term analogous to permittivity in electrostatics. It basically tells us about it tells us about what? It tells about the magnetic lines of force that is passing through a given substance when it is kept in an external magnetic field. For superconductors, Xi is equal to -1. Remember, superconductors. If we substitute in the above equation 11.18, Xi is equal to -1, B becomes equal to 0. It is observed that permeability, we just go back, we'll see that. See in this equation, 1 plus Xi. If Xi is equal to -1, this term becomes 0. So when this is 0, so B is equal to 0, isn't it? And then We have mu 0 also equal to 0. You see here, mu is equal to 0 rather, because mu is equal to what? Mu r into mu 0. So if mu r is 0, so it automatically becomes 0. This means no magnetic lines will pass through the superconductor. So this is very important thing, that no magnetic lines will pass through the superconductor. And Xi indicates how much magnetization. Xi also is a very important concept. Like it tells about how much magnetization will be produced in a given substance when kept in an external magnetic field. If the substance kept in the magnetic field, the atomic dipole moments either align or oppose the external magnetic field. So it depends. It depends upon Xi, that either it aligns. If it aligns, then magnetization increases rather. And secondly, one more thing, that is Xi is negative when substance oppose the field, and vice versa. That is, Xi is negative when substance oppose the field. That is, you can say this condition is seen in diamagnetism, diamagnetic materials, that Xi is negative, and when external magnetic field is applied, it opposes it. So it is not aligned with the external magnetic field. It opposes it. That is diamagnetic substances. And for paramagnetic substances, it is vice versa, means it is Xi is positive, and in that case, the substances, they are aligned with the external magnetic field. So when they are aligned with external magnetic field, you can say that temporary magnets which are there, when electric field is there, till that time there is it acts as a magnet. But once the magnetic field is removed, then it doesn't act like a magnet. And for soft ion, remember the substances. For soft ion, Xi is very much greater than 1000. It's very much greater than 1000. So in that case, this is for the ferromagnetic substances. So for diamagnetic substances, it's negative and it opposes the field. For paramagnetic substances, Xi is positive and it is aligned with the external magnetic field. And for soft ion, Xi is very much greater than 1000. So in that case, what happens is, even when we apply external magnetic field, it becomes, it acts like a magnet. And if we remove, even if we remove the external magnetic field, then also the substance, or you can say the material, it acts like a magnet. So that is the magnetization. So that is the magnetic intensity, it increases for the ferromagnetic substances, in which we have domain structure, which I had told you initially, that there are domain structures, and the magnetic dipole moments, they are aligned, and even if the external magnetic field is removed, they remain aligned irrespective of the field. In that case, we have maximum magnetization. Now we'll have some examples. There is one, magnetic susceptibility of some materials. So see here, some substances, diamagnetic, actually we are not studying in details about. In your syllabus at the moment, we don't have this magnetic materials, this part. But just for our understanding, I have just taken this table for you to understand what is diamagnetic substances. You may go home and you may study from the PDF or from the textbooks. So it is already given what is diamagnetic substances, their properties, paramagnetic substance, their properties, and ferromagnetic substances and their properties. So paramagnetic and ferromagnetic substances, they are nearly same. Only ferromagnetic substances, we have, it is a stronger field, you can say. And you can see that for diamagnetic substances, silicon. So it is negative. You can see that silicon, the diamagnetic substances here are silicon, bismuth, copper, diamond, you can see that they are negative. They're negative. Gold minus 3.6 into 10 raised to minus 5. Lead minus 1.7 into 10 raised to minus 5. So these are the negative terms. And Xi is negative. When Xi is negative, yes, what happens is they oppose the external magnetic field. Now, external magnetic field means how you give the external magnetic field. Either it is by electric field, or you can say the we have that U-shaped magnet. So that by that that is the U-shaped magnet, horseshoe magnet. You can say. So that is the by that we can apply the external field. Then paramagnetic substances are aluminium, calcium, chromium, and these all are positive. You can see that these are positive. And what happens is when external magnetic field is applied, they align with the this external. They are the magnetic moment, dipole moments. They align with the external field. Now, why they align means actually why in paramagnetic substances we have this property Xi, and they are magnetized, whereas they are not, because they have in their outermost orbit they have unpaired electrons. Remember, paramagnetic substance or ferromagnetic substances. And if no external magnetic field is applied as a bulk, it has zero uh, zero magnetic dipole moment. But when external field is applied, we see that the dipole moments get aligned. And in the atomic form, if we see that the dipole moment gets aligned with the external field. So they become temporary magnets, you can see. So they are magnetized actually. And then uh, this is for the paramagnetic substances, and ferromagnetic substances. I have told you that they are very much greater. See here, you can see 10 raised to 2 means 100. So they are very much greater. Xi is very much greater, nearly 1000. So you can see for this is it is 1000 for soft iron. So even a soft iron, they can become they can become permanent magnets also. So remember that. So these are the three materials. You open your textbooks. I think you have your self study more than what we teach actually, because your self study it counts more. So you study, you'll understand the properties and minute details you try to understand, and then you may ask us, and we'll have a test. And when we'll have a test on this chapter, we'll combine magnetic field due to electric current and this chapter, because we have very less syllabus from this chapter, only 11.1, 11.2, and 11.1, 11.3, and 4 is there in your syllabus. Otherwise other syllabus others is reduced, means it is not in your syllabus for this year. Remember. Then I have some assignments for you. If you have any problem, you may ask me on my personal number, or however, the assignment here. Obtain an expression for orbital magnetic moment of an electron rotating about the nucleus in an atom. So we have seen this derivation in the last lecture. When the electron, when you take a atomic, you can say that building block of any bulk material is nothing but atomic structure. In the atomic structure, we know that the atom at the center there is nucleus, and there are nucleons and protons in it, and the electrons are rotating in the around it, isn't it? So when it is rotating, the electron is rotating, it is as good as when the current is flowing through the conductor, magnetic field is developed in the same manner here. Because of the rotation of the electron, it has two motions like Earth. It has spin motion also, and also it is having the orbital motion, or we can say it is so two motions are there, and because of that we have a magnetic field because of that electron moving, and then we have derived the equation. So you go through that equation and get the Bohr-Magneton equation also, and gyromagnetic ratio, that also it's very important. So next question is the same thing. What is the gyromagnetic ratio? So you write down these questions in your books and try to learn by heart and try to solve the problems also. So what is gyromagnetic ratio? So I told you this ratio. It is a ratio of magnetic uh, orbital magnetic moment, or we can say momentum, to that of angular momentum, E upon 2me. It's a very simple one, but try to understand and try to see the constants, and universal constants should be learned by heart by you. You should know them, like the value of E, the value of me. Then, what is magnetization and its SI unit? So, what is magnetization and SI unit? It's asked for 2 marks. And next question also you can take, what is the magnetic intensity, which I took now, that is regarding B. So you can find out B is equal to B0 plus Bm and derive that equation. That is also asked for 3 marks. So children, I hope you must have understood this chapter. Try to study at home yourself. Try to understand some concepts. Though it is not in syllabus, but yet you go through it and you'll understand more. Like you can go and study what is Curie temperature, then what is domain structure in ferromagnetic substances, then what are the differences, take down the homework. One more homework you can take down is just write the differences of diamagnetic substances, paramagnetic substances, and ferromagnetic substances. What are the differences? Once you understand the difference, you understand the concept very clearly and very neatly. Okay, so this is all about the today's lecture. So thank you, children. I hope children you must have understood this today's chapter, and try to study at home again. Once again, I'm repeating this again and again because we cannot meet personally, but you have all the things at your disposal and you can study. You can have lot of references from the online lectures also, other lectures also, and be prepared for the test, which will be in coming 15 days. We'll have a test on the MCQs, but MCQs, more than MCQs, try to study each and everything details from the textbook itself or the PDF which you have. Okay, thank you.